Hello, and welcome to Uptown Tonight. I am Wayne Stallenfacher, your not-so-descript host of the Uptown Tonight Podcast. And today we have Kari Del Rio is going to be joining us in the studio today. This is going to be really exciting.
Sure.
We get to talk about all jazz and vocals and piano. So, man,
Yes.
This is going to be Nerd City. I love it already. So, this is going to be great. But we were here because we believe a rising tide does raise all ships, and we're trying to do our best here to help out with that rising of tides by basically showing off all the entertainers and whatever else in the FM area. So, first I got to talk about me because I'm boring. And what we did last week, that's right, we have all zebras up there. He definitely doesn't look like that anymore, but neither does that couch. And then we got Cito's hanging out with Junior. Junior's holding our Uptown merch there. Next time we're in town is going to be in 3 weeks, I believe. I'll be at the Windbreak. You can find us and get some Uptown merch right off the stage there with all Junior and Cito. So come on out, little Windbreak. And I think it's early June that we're going to be out there. And then Steven always wants to support our troops. And I'm a little biased since my son's in the military, but, you should be supporting your troops. Anyway, so there's even supporting our troops. And then, last week, garage sale season's in session, and I am a huge sailor. If you can't tell, if you ever come into this house, we were looking at all the nostalgic nerdiness and stuff, and there's one box of junk that I picked up. And then, last Thursday, I subbed in with the Johnson family, or Johnson 5, or whatever they call themselves now. Mm-hmm. It's basically, why am I forgetting the name? Front Fenders Light. So they just go out and just put up a couple of sticks with some PA tops on there, and nothing else is mic'd up, and we just go for it. Those guys are so much fun. And that place was just packed. That was over at Mick's office last Thursday, just packed. And then Joe Rudd's daughter joined us for a few tunes in there as well. It was just a great, great time. And then we got to go up to the Diamond Lounge, and that's the only picture I took was my 3 pedals of my left foot. So that's all I can find. Sorry, people. That's all I got. So we were at the Diamond Lounge in Grand Forks last week. So that's all I got about me. But I'm boring. Let's get to Kari. Kari, how you doing?
Doing swell.
How are you? And thanks for being on.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Oh, God. I know it's been tough trying to get the schedules all worked out because you're just busy, busy, busy. And that can't be a bad thing.
No.
It can't be a bad thing because I'm guessing it's all music related.
It is all music related.
You're not sitting there working at some kind of like grocery store or something.
That is correct.
That is awesome. So first we need to learn a little more about Kari. Where'd you come from? What's your story?
Yeah, sure. So I originally grew up in the Twin Cities area and was brought up to Fargo Moorhead from the college calling. I went to Concordia and participated there, got a music degree.
Concordia?
Yes, indeed.
Yes. Are you wearing a ring? Yes,
course,
you are.
Yes.
Oh, yes. The Concordia people.
I spent a lot of money on that tuition.
Yep. Exactly.
Some sign of it.
So what degree did you get from there then?
Just a general Bachelor of Arts in Music.
Bachelor of Arts in Music?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're not specified any sort of thing?
No, the performance route was a little too, I don't fit in the opera niche or the classical niche.
Okay.
As you had alluded to, there's a little more jazz and rock and funk in my repertoire, and so
nothing wrong with
I didn't feel like I fit in with the performance majors at Concordia, so I just stuck to the general.
Okay.
Route. Mm-hmm.
And so you just got your paper and got out. So
I did, yes.
That's good. So where'd you grow up again? I missed that part.
Oh, sure. I didn't specify, but Edina, Minnesota. It's a suburb.
Edina. Every day I need attention. I got you.
Well, that's what the root on the street is.
Yeah, we've been saying that since the 90s. So I'm dating myself here.
Well, the Mighty Ducks didn't help either.
That's correct. Right? Oh, I wasn't even thinking of that. There's more nostalgia. I'm loving this one. The Mighty Ducks, the Flying V. Let's go.
Indeed. Quack, quack.
Oh, so not saying when you graduated, but what were your interests while you were in high school? What drove you into actually keeping music as kind of your career choice?
Yeah, so the house I grew up in it was over 100 years old and came with a massive behemoth of a upright piano. And
nice.
It was incredibly the wall of sound that just came at you. So I just started tinkering around.
This is why it's live, folks.
And just really started enjoying the sounds that came out of that. And so I started taking lessons. early on, about third grade, and just really had a passion for that. Always singing, always making music, just always kind of hearing things in my mind. And so got involved with the choir at church, got involved in choir at school, and started taking piano lessons, started playing piano at church, started playing piano at school.
Wow.
And then, yeah, loved jazz band. So by the time I got to high school, started to participate in that as well. And you may or may not have been restricted in your schedule, but commonly you can only take one music class.
Yep, usually.
Yeah, and so fortunately, my senior year I was asked to participate in the concert band as the first pianist at Edina High School, and so I was able to rearrange my schedule and make that work. So I took choir, band, and you can't do piano during marching band, so I learned a little bit of mallet percussion as well.
Oh, cool. So you're on the marimbas and all that, or in front line, or are you...
Yeah, they gave me one of those drums that you
you got a bass drum on.
Yeah.
So I'm a marching band geek. That's my big claim to fame, I would say. It's just it'll be battery percussion. I think that's the easiest way to say it.
Drum corps is just incredible. When I was growing up, I had a boyfriend from Bloomington, Jefferson, and their drum corps down there, it was just phenomenal. I would love going to see those concerts.
Is that Minnesota Brass or Chops Incorporated? Or Governors. There's another one in Minnesota.
Oh, good.
Am I just throwing all these terms at you? I'm sorry.
No, that's excellent. Well, now I'm excited and intrigued to check out those groups.
Yep, I'm not sure if Chops is anymore. I could be just making this up. I haven't seen much, or at least anything come from them. I know Minnesota Brass is still out there doing lots of stuff. Governors is still out there. A lot of the stuff in Wisconsin used to be, a little history lesson, used to be the drum corps capital of the world. Like every town had a drum corps in it at one point. And now they all moved to Florida, so.
The weather's nice.
Maybe so. No, but I love all that stuff. So, no, that's cool that you have to even do the marching band stuff as well. So, well-rounded. You got to do all sorts of things. But I got to go back to this question, because I always ask this, because I started piano when I was in third grade. And that was because Mother just said, you're taking piano.
Many do.
And I was like, okay. Yeah, I didn't really... I didn't have a choice. I probably could have fought it off, but there was no reason to.
Sure.
So, did you ask, or was it just something that was just... how would you say, just brought up?
Forced upon myself.
Forced upon. That could be as well.
Yeah, no, I think I was playing one day, and then my mom asked if I would like to learn how to actually play the instrument. And I said yes. And so they got me connected with a music director at our local church at the time. And she was my instructor for, third through all the way to college.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It must have been some player then.
It was, she was just great. She knew how to nurture. Classical, as I alluded to, isn't necessarily my strong suit. Although now that I've gotten older, I definitely have, and then had to study it in college, but have an appreciation for it now. Like Mozart and Beethoven are the two big names that speak to me most of all.
Gotcha.
But back in the day, I definitely did not want anything to do with classical, and so the good thing about my professor was that, or my instructor, was that she was able to find supplemental material in order to keep me engaged while still teaching me the basics and slipping in some of those
very
pieces as well.
Very nice.
Yeah, so I've tried to emulate that in my own teaching style as well, because it's really important to keep a young learner's attention, and you do that by providing material that they actually want to play.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of like what I went through, they just gave you the book, and then you got to graduate to the next book, and then to the next book, and that's basically how it went.
Right. And it's fun because within those books, you get to learn songs, and sometimes those tunes are familiar to the students.
Yep.
But most of the time, it's a tune that's been created to specifically teach a technique or a skill. And
Agreed.
I don't think anyone outside of like the Alfred Piano series knows the song Purple Cow or
what?
or Divers or so oftentimes I'll have to sing the melody because they have absolutely no idea what the tune is. So that's the benefit of bringing in a tune that the kids know already, or even like YouTube now. So the digital revolution for education, they have those. It's almost like Guitar Hero, and they scroll and the piano keys light up, and it shows the student how long to play the note or things like that. So a lot of my students will go online. For example, I have a young learner who loves Disney songs, and so knows how to play the opening to the Up theme, from that movie, and he did it all by just watching the YouTube and plunking it on the piano, which is incredible.
Just subbing in Fargo and all that, I've seen that a lot. A lot of people just pull those up during break time and figure all that out. Now, do you consider that cheating, or is this just another part of the game, or maybe we're just evolving?
Excellent question. I think it is an incredibly helpful way to teach anyone, any learner, how to use your ear and to look at the shapes on the piano. Since the piano is linear, you can really find patterns and things like that.
Yeah.
Guitar, you can also find patterns as well, but it's arranged over the fret and strings, and it's a different way of looking at things, whereas on the piano, it's all... I'm just hitting things here in the studio.
It's all good.
It's all in a line and all in a row. So once you can pick out, and the keys repeat, right? So every eight keys, you have a new sequence. It's the same thing, just repeated higher or lower. And so to pick out patterns, right? Jimi Hendrix just played by ear. He didn't know how to read sheet music.
Precisely.
And
Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Right. Lots of greats have no idea how to look at sheet music or read transcriptions. And I think there's a benefit in being able to play both by ear, to look by pattern, but I also find a huge merit in being able to read sheet music. And so that's the focus with all of my students, is being able to get them to read music off of a staff, because you can plunk things by ear and you can learn pattern, but the quickest way to do it in the long run is to be able to read.
But in the short run, it's so much work. Come on.
I know. And then with today's shorter attention spans.
Oh my gosh.
Trying to get
some
of these students to see the merit of 2 years from now, I'll be able to really rock, is very challenging.
Yes, it is. That's when they can figure out Seven Nation Army, yesterday.
Exactly. So there's a balance, right? So you need to supplement with the easy and quick, and I did this, and then try and find ways to tie that into, the planned lesson.
I gotcha. So you've been playing since third grade, and then where did the jazz thing come into play? Was that just all high school, or was it just something that you were just kind of tinkering with, and then you wanted to dive in more? No, what's the journey on that one?
Yeah, well, jazz is just so...
It's alive.
It is just a great genre. I know not every musician out there will agree with me, but to me, that's one of the music genres that speaks to the soul. Jazz, and that comes also with like ragtime piano, boogie woogie, and the blues. And so I've had the great fortune to recently play with the Blue Whalers and really try and get my blues chops up to line. So we were at the Fargo Blues Fest last year, and I do believe we are slated to be there again this summer as well, if you haven't checked that out.
Excellent, yes.
Definitely a fun afternoon. So all of those genres kind of have roots. So maybe my jazz affinity comes from my soul, but also soul and spiritual and gospel music also tie into jazz. And
I never thought of it that way, but you're absolutely correct.
And
yes.
So growing up in the church, those spirituals and those gospel songs really spoke to me. And so it was kind of a natural progression to then look for those influences in different genres as well.
Gotcha. So was your teacher at that time teaching you the jazz stuff, like the different chording and all that other, or that just...
Yeah, so we got into that in high school, and I still have the book Jazz Chords and Progressions.
The voice thing too.
Exactly. It's with the CD, and you can play along. And 12-bar blues progressions and patterns. I mean, they have a lot of books out there to teach you how to chord and voice things properly, and when you're using multiple tones, which ones do you drop, which ones sound better when you have them on top or bottom. I mean, there's a lot, because of the way you can arrange on the piano, there's a lot of nuance, a little subtle nuance between something that sounds, oh yeah, that's a jazz pattern versus, oh yeah, that is a jazz piano pattern, you know? There's just some sort of technique. And so you can't learn it by just playing from a book. You have to engage with other players. You have to look for masters in the field. And so I've had the opportunity, Herman Green, when I played with Willie Waldman Project for a little while, he gave me a little tutorial during one of our sets, and it's just fascinating to learn from these masters. And I love jazz, but I'm not a jazz piano player. I can get there, but I'm not someone who goes like 110% and feels the jazz voicings. I'm not a Vince Guaraldi. I'm not. Seton Hawkins was from Edina High School. He's on Sirius XM Radio now. He hosts South African Jazz Night, and he was 2 grades before me and played in jazz band. It was super inspirational, and I would always just fold my hands and let him solo because some piano players it just oozes out of them, those voicings and those chords.
Yes.
So I like the jazz, I like the boogie woogie and the blues and the ragtime piano, and historically they kind of all evolved one from another, and so that's how I got into jazz in high school. I have to go back to your question.
No, it's absolutely fine. That's basically how you got there.
Yeah.
And how you think about it. So,
yeah.
No. Always fascinating seeing what other people's perspectives on things. Then me not even thinking about the whole gospel connection there. Hi. Hello. But that's why I love doing this. You just talk to people and learn all this fun stuff.
Yeah.
And get to meet cool people like Kari.
Oh, thank you very much.
Who has a very good appreciation to all my nostalgia junk. So
they are treasures. Treasures.
See? Bonus points right there. No, so that's cool. So you play any other instruments then? Just piano? And you had some vocal things that you were talking about?
I do, yeah. So I also sing. Everyone sings. Whether you just stop singing because you don't think you're any good, or
you don't want to hear me sing.
So I was singing before I played piano, right? My mom said I would run around the yard singing all these made-up songs, and so a common theme, right? Got involved in the church choir in elementary school, and then when you got to middle school, you could elect to take choir, and so I did that and continued to sing in the church choir, and then ended up kind of leading a younger youth group choir. We would go around, a group of my friends would go to the elementary school, Sunday school classrooms, and we'd sing some songs and stuff like that. So yeah, vocals. And then when I went to Concordia, I ended up singing with June Rauschnabel for the women's cantabile, and then out of cantabile ended up coming to work with Dr. Clausen with the Concordia Choir for 2 years, and that was just brilliant. And after college, was able to join both the Fargo-Moorhead Master Chorale, and then was able to successfully get into the choral artists under Dr. Colleton. Yeah. And had a beautiful time working with those groups for a few years, and then ended up moving away from here for a while, went back to one of the cities, got some knowledge on how to tune pianos, and then came back up here and left the corporate world. I got a bad story about that. Oh no. Left the corporate world and then did things full time. And then when I decided to move away from corporate and do 100% music income-based projects, then regrettably I wasn't able to do, a community choir because those evenings are very valuable for teaching. That's when all the kids are out of school, and so from 3 to 8 every weekday, that's my prime money making time.
No, so that's a good segue into get into what you're doing nowadays. But first, we gotta get to the weekly report here. So, Cito, we miss you, man. All right, where are we heading to right away? Oh, let's not go downtown. Let's go out of town. We got the original Minot Tripwire will be out there this weekend, Friday and Saturday, hitting the stage the 12th and 13th. The Laughing Sun Brewing Company in the Bismarck-Mandan area, our favorite brewing company in the Bismarck-Mandan area. We got Scarlet Woods on Thursday, Reverend Road. Oh God, this is so small today. Reverend Road Show in High Speedily on Friday, and then Waza and Kalamazoo on Saturday, and then the Bizman, Little Big Band on Monday. They got a lot going on this week. I love this. And Jalen Oven's Jazz Quartet next Tuesday, the 16th. At the Rocking Horse in Minot, the Great Outdoors will be out there on the stage all week once again, Tuesday through Saturday. It's one of the only places that I know. Well, there's a few places I know that still has bands playing all week long. We need more places like that. So somebody get on that. Ojata in Grand Forks, we have Dave Ariel, Michael Moore, Kelsley Family Band, and DJ Mike and Robinson on Saturday the 13th. And then we're going downtown, Spec Sunride out there on Friday and Saturday. The M&J Saloon DJ and the Atomics on Saturday at the BFW. West Fargo, we got Raw Sugar is back on Friday the 12th. And the Blarney still on the Blue Whalers. Are you a part of this at all?
I am not. They are actually bringing a organ player with them to that show.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. They're playing the Hammond, or what's going on?
Well, I have no idea. You should go and find out.
I probably should. Probably should. In Uptown, we got the Windbreak, Junk FM's on Friday, and then Tyler Hammond on Saturday. And we're up at the Southtown Poorhouse in Grand Forks. Tyler Hammond's on Friday. Ooh, wow, this will all work out. And Semi-Charm Hero on the stage on Saturday the 13th. At the TAC, we have Overtime and Crucifix happening tonight. And then Jennifer Lynn and the Groove Revival on Friday. It's Sky Full of Dreams on Saturday. And I think that's a Sublime tribute band, I believe. So don't quote me on that one. Then Foreigner's going to be at the Shields Arena tonight, the 10th. That's going to be a real cool one to get to. Sanctuary Event Center, we got Time Bomb Wrestling on Thursday. Then Rocket Club with Chris Hawkeye and Brian Laurie on Friday. And then AMP, the 5th year anniversary performance. AMP's been around for 5 years. I cannot believe that. Actually, I should believe that. It's great having them around on Sunday the 14th over at the Sanctuary. And then Shooting Star Casino Slamabama is on the Mustang Lounge on the 12th and 13th. Downtown Acoustic Corner tonight, Rick Adams at Murphy's Pub is just a few blocks from here. A Gentleman and a Scholar at the Roundup Saloon on Thursday, May 11th. Hi, we're not back into March yet. We got Wayne MacArthur at Hooligans, Brady Robertson over at Sweet Shots, and then Mike Morris at Spicy Pie. On Friday, we got Pepper Ashmore at the NY, and Saturday the 13th, Rick Adams once again at the BFW in West Fargo, Eric Rattan at the Silver Spike, Pat Wood, that's Pat Lennox and some Pat. There we go. Thank you. At the Swing Barrel Brewing Company, and then Rachel Nero at the Roundup Saloon. Still downtown at the Front Street Tap Room, we got Shane Bertrand. If you're looking for some good old-fashioned, well, he does his little hand squirty thing. You can ask him to do that, but he's got a whole set of Weird Al that I've heard. Ooh. And yeah, I think he's the only person in town that does all that. But anyway, great time hanging out with Shane there on Friday the 12th. And we got Dan Kaufman on Saturday the 13th. An open mic night with Travis Neros next Monday the 15th. The Cellar, we got open mic with Mark Wade Belcher happening tonight. So if you're looking to tighten up that 2 minutes of your stand-up, that's the place to be. There at Side Street, the Jazz Night next Monday. Jasper Hotel, I figured something would be happening out there, but I cannot find anything, at least at the moment. The 42nd Street Delta, Kathy Brecky and the 42nd Street Jazz Band on Thursday, then the Deadbeats on Friday, and Heart and Soul hitting the stage there on Saturday. Still downtown at Dempsey, Zach Thomas tonight on the stage, and we got open mic night with Gina Powers on Thursday, then short notice, Friday the 12th. In the Aquarium, we got Corey Medina and Brothers and Cage Jumper on Saturday. That's Troll Lounge, Moving Parts on Thursday, Scarlet Wood on Friday, and then Uptown's very own Peter Wilbur, Lord of Peter Wilbur for you, just to be exact. Saturday the 13th. And the Alibi Lounge, you have open mic night on Thursday, and then Murphy's Pub, 2 weeks notice, will be on the stage on Saturday. And I believe that's all we have for you today. So let's get back to Kari here. And what's Kari up to these days? Like what's your main gig? What's everything that's happening?
Oh, excellent.
And maybe how did you get into such gigs?
Oh, yes. Excellent. These are all great questions. So most importantly, we have a Carole King tribute coming up next Saturday, May 20th at Concordia College.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Is that an annual thing? Because I've seen stuff on that before in years past.
Yes, this is actually our 5th presentation.
Nice.
Yes, we had hosted it at the Hodo previously, done it at the lounge there, and...
That's where I was thinking. So when you said Concordia, threw me. I was like,
yeah.
what's going on there? Okay.
Yeah, so with the pandemic, obviously, things have changed, and...
Just a little bit.
Can't rely on... what a great spot the Hodo Lounge was, really, for supporting local acts, and it gave me the ability to try out the Carole King project way back in 2015. And
Nice.
had some of the players you've mentioned. Pat Leonards and Travis Atwood were in the original group, and then Peter Wilbur came on board for a few iterations of the project.
Yes.
And let's see. So now we're in our 5th year, or 5th presentation, and have moved the performance to Concordia. For their recital hall, it has a Steinway grand piano, which I'm really excited to play on.
Gotcha.
This will actually be the first time that I've played on an acoustic piano ever in Fargo for a show, because I always bring my keyboard.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because people places really don't have acoustic pianos for playing. I should take that back. Bonanzaville has an acoustic piano in the chapel, and I did play on that for my friend's wedding. So, so I guess this will be my 2nd performance with an acoustic instrument.
Heard it here first. Second.
Indeed. The first on a proper grand, though. I'm excited for that. And not only do we have the core players, so bass, drums, and guitar, but also adding small horns section on a few tunes this year, which has been really fun.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. So Steve Walvin, Fred Herring, and Jesse Bronigal are the pioneers of our new small horns section.
Shout out to all them, yes.
Yes. And very blessed to have Dakota Kate Henny working with me, not only as a musician, but as a co-producer. She's been huge in helping kind of all the back end organizing of things. When the show was at the Hodo, all I had to do was show up and load in, and that was that. And so now we've had to talk about, finding the space, renting the space. We're going to have a little cash bar, and the VIP ticket for the show does include a free drink ticket and then a chocolate raspberry tart dessert as well.
Fancy.
Yes. So then had to imagine press and reaching out to contact for sound and doing all of these other things, which I'm really not well versed in at all.
So you're one of the original people that organized this thing, or were you the one that organized this thing?
Correct. So
Okay.
yeah, so it was my brainchild originally.
Nice.
And because my parents' first date was a Carole King concert.
Oh, really?
So yeah.
There you go.
So I just thought it would be something neat to do. Not only is it special to my parents, but Carole is one of the very few female songwriters who has had quite a bit of success here in America. But she also uses the piano as her main instrument versus the guitar or just being a singer. And so that combination, I felt, since I'm a woman and I play the piano, I thought that it was due time that someone had her music played more frequently than they do in today's day and age. So
no, that's very, very cool. I did not know that at all. At least coming in. So again,
yeah.
I'm learning more
There
stuff
you
as we
go.
go along. This is awesome. This is awesome. So what do you do nowadays then, besides setting up the Carole King stuff?
yeah. So outside
What keeps
of
the
that,
lights on, I should say.
teaching primarily. So with the pandemic,
Yep.
I was more in the performance genre. I was truthfully working in too many projects because bills don't pay themselves, and if you're not working, you're not making the money.
Yeah, exactly.
No one's giving me PTO or paid vacation or anything like that. So
I feel your pain.
so I was really cobbling a lot of projects together, and teaching was kind of more of an afterthought, just kind of to supplement.
Yep.
And then pandemic put a hard stop on all live performance. And I have also worked in, and do still work, accompanying in the high school with the orchestra and choir programs as well. So that income all went away as well.
Oh, wow.
It's because schools were no longer in session, and
Exactly.
they didn't do the all-state competitions. And so in the pandemic, I had to really pivot into teaching full-time. And so now, coming out, I have a full roster of students, and I teach at my house, and I go to people's houses, and I also teach at Schmidt Music on Wednesdays, and have really scaled back my involvement with performance and focused more on special events like the Carole King tribute that will be happening next weekend. And those tickets are available on Eventbrite. If you haven't purchased yours already, please do. Should be
I'll make sure we get some links down below for all that. So I'll make sure that happens.
Wonderful. Yeah. So teaching and accompanying.
Okay.
And this year is the busy time because sub-regional competition is in March, and then state regional competition is in April. So I just finished those. I worked with 26 orchestra students and 24 choir kids this year.
Wow. So that's just a lot of sight reading? Yeah?
Well, for this year, I ended up practicing 12 hours to learn all of the orchestra pieces for the kids. And
Commitment right there, yeah.
Because a lot of it is orchestra reduction. And,
I bet, yeah.
Yeah, so the piano part is filling in the orchestra. So with years past, we've had more students that have been near collegiate level. And so those scores have been really tough for me to learn, but it also keeps me challenged and fresh as a piano player. And working with those young people is it's just so wonderful seeing that unbridled passion that hasn't been dampered by decades of bill paying and mortgage and, car problems. And so it's just really fun to work with them and see where their minds are at. And this year I didn't have as many challenging scores. The pandemic really has... Well, you may have found in your interactions as well, but the students that were impacted by the pandemic these last 2 years.
I can tell you.
Yeah, there's just something.
From being in the public schools, yep.
Indeed. And so so it's kind of been a pivot this year, focusing more on supplementing that knowledge that would have been given during 2 years of being in a classroom with 50 other kids working on collective songs together.
Yep.
So that's kind of been a nice change from previous years.
Very good, very good. You realize that we've gone for over 40 minutes so far.
You told me this time would go super
Doesn't
quick.
it go fast? It's awesome. It's awesome. We get a little juvenile destruction going here because this last question I know it's going to take a little while to get through.
Ooh.
But going into COVID, what did you have to do teaching-wise in order to make all that happen? I'm going to make you hold on to that and think about it because we got to do a little juvenile destruction. So here's this week's Off the Roof.
Ooh. No.
No, recycled. That one came apart. I just grab these at random now, so I don't know which one's coming up, but I know what happened here. That was the light fixture from our bathroom upstairs. They're redoing it. And I was like, yeah, this thing's going off the roof. There's my daughter helping out. Well, I gotta start making some fresh ones again. That was perfect name too. You're hired. And Kari's probably going, "What are you doing?" And I'll have to explain this to you. Is that I grew up in this house. A lot of metal music was played in this room way back in the day.
Oh.
and all sorts of fun stuff that always happened here. So at one point when I bought it for it was before I bought it for my dad years ago, but we have the raging parties going on, and inevitably someone would get up on the roof and we'd be throwing random electronics off. Why? Because it was fun to watch it explode on the driveway. So we're just keeping the tradition alive. So if you have anything out there that you want to see broken on YouTube or wherever else we're going to stream this on, just throw it in my yard. I'll definitely break it. You can see there's a bunch of junk in my yard already. And that was from last week's cleanup week. They caught me by surprise. It was supposed to be like the first full week of May. And I wasn't thinking full week, meaning full week that the actual sanitation department was working. So we got everything out there, and then I realized that, they don't take certain items, and, they're still out in the yard, and I haven't had a chance to pull it out yet. But that's all I'm going to say. But you can throw your junk on top of that. We'll definitely break it for you. But let's get back to Kari here. And going through COVID, how did that all work? How did you make that work? How did, just the mechanics involved?
Oh, God.
As I can tell you right now, you go upstairs, I have a big old shield for drums that I just bought off a piano teacher that bought it just for COVID, because then she played on one side of that shield and then the students are on the other.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I think it's in pristine condition. I love it. But
wow. Yeah. No, I did not. I did not do that.
Okay.
Although that's
fair enough.
Very clever. So for a long time, it was all online. And so
online?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How?
Not good.
No.
Not preferred. Not ideal. Not at all. Everyone was just trying to do their best.
Scratching.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm looking at your setup and I'm thinking, ooh, this is really nice. I wish I would have had like multi-camera angles. And I've seen some of the piano teachers that are I'm in the Fargo-Moorhead Piano Teacher Association, and so some of them do have a setup like this. They have a camera over their keyboards, and then they have a camera on the side so they can toggle so that the students can see them playing the piano.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was really, really cool, but I just was basic. I have a MacBook, and so I used either, someone...
The Apple II?
Oh my gosh, do you have... Or can you still play Oregon Trail on this
That's
thing?
what we've been doing on the podcast.
Oh my gosh, it's right there!
Yep.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Oh my gosh, that brings me right back to like second grade. And
exactly.
And then Number Munchers was the next one to come on the computer.
I got that somewhere.
So much fun. So we pivoted all online. I was just using my MacBook, and the house that my husband and I have actually does have a devoted room for a piano studio. Our first floor was originally, it was a single family home, and then it was apartments, and then it was business and apartments, and then it was Youth Works, and now we own it. And so they did do a few things that made teaching. So once they started lifting restrictions and I was able to have people, then my students masked and I used hand sanitizer and with Lysol everything. And you can just walk right into the house. We have pocket doors. We kept those closed, and then you just walked to the right at the end of the hallway. We had that door at the end of the hallway shut. So really it was just like this little corridor, like in to the piano room, outside. So that ended up working really well. None of my kids got COVID during the pandemic.
Perfect.
So
that's stigma
going
on.
Yeah. But I definitely do not like online teaching. It was very difficult. I was not able to start any new students during the pandemic time because...
Yeah, you bet. Because how would you get that even started? Here's your technique. Like, here's how you approach the piano.
Precisely. You just can't. And so one of the things that I learned is, for me personally, maybe a teacher who's been in the business for decades versus me who's only been in for like 6 or 7 years, might have different skills or know what to anticipate. But for me, the first 90 days, for the first 3 months of teaching, I need to see you in person. I need to be able to look at your hands. I need to see how you're sitting at the keyboard and holding everything properly, so I can come and physically touch you and say, put your fingers like this, or put your elbows in, or don't slump, or whatever the case may be.
I never did any of that. Constantly.
I was about to say, you seem like maybe a repeat offender, multiple infractions. But then after those 90 days, with students that I have currently, for example, snow days that happened, those blizzards that we kept getting all spring long.
Yes.
Yeah. So one of the good things about having to go into that viral and virtual, viral sounds like a disease, into that virtual category, is that now instead of having to cancel lessons because of snow or inclement weather, I just pull them all online. And so kids can still have their lessons. Parents don't need to drive around. I don't need to drive around. So we can still maintain. So that has been one of the nice things about that.
Get a benefit here
that
and there.
tool. Yes. Yeah. But otherwise, during the pandemic, super rough.
So you were saying that you had to pivot to that at least a lot more, and they weren't taking new students in. So what were some of the things that you did to keep your students still involved in all that?
Ooh,
I know it's a tough one, but I'm curious.
Yeah. So I, as you may have noticed, I'm a very expressive person when I speak.
You are. It's great.
And so I really tried to just amp that up, and I got little different props and things. I have
putting on the show.
Exactly.
Yes.
So like one of the things with projectors growing up in classrooms, they always had these little pointers with a finger.
Yep.
So that they could put it on, and then you'd see the finger pointing on the screen. So I ended up getting. I had a little green finger that I would come in and hold the book, and then I'd use my pointer. And then I found like a little paw that I would use to point out things and
spicing it up.
Yeah, so that was always fun to use those different tools, and the kids just loved it. They were like, "Ooh," because it's just fun and unique.
Great idea.
Yeah,
actually. It really is.
And then trying to engage with the camera as if. More like YouTube-y style, so knowing like here's my laptop, and then like zooming in and like making my eyes big, or just trying to do something dramatic to make those lessons stimulating and engaging.
Nice, yeah. So stirring the pot a little bit like that. That's real good cues for anyone out there doing that. It's a great idea on all points. So that's really, really interesting. Wow. Okay, so you have the Carole King thing coming on up.
I do, yes.
And anything else coming on up besides the Blues Fest?
No, I just played at Troll Lounge a couple weeks ago, and
Troll. I still have not been in there. I've been in there virtually. Someone brought their virtual reality thing, and that was the only time I actually how would you say that? Virtually stood in the Troll Lounge.
Definitely not virally stood.
No. Yeah, that was from the COVID stuff, so.
Yeah. The room is super cool with the troll carvings on the wall and the paintings, and they just redid it, so they took out the carpet, and now it's like PVL or laminate flooring. Okay. Which I think it
brightened up the sound a little bit?
Aesthetic. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Well, we're basically out of time for today, at least with this segment. We'll definitely have to bring you back on, though, especially with this Carole. And you're just a lot of fun to have in the studio.
Thank you.
So this is great. So, anything left for the good of the order, then? Anything you want to tell? Shout out? All that fun stuff? Nothing?
May the 4th be with you.
There you go. May the 4th was last week. I was wearing my May the 4th shirt on, Lisa. I was up the Johnson family. Yep.
My sister just had her baby last night.
Oh, there you go. Congratulations. There you go. So you heard that here first. That's most definitely. All right. So you can find us all on the ticky-tacks up into the Instagrams on Uptown Tonight Podcast or at Uptown Tonight Podcast at Gmail. Or you can find everything at the uptownbandfargo.com. That'll show everything that's happening with the band and or the podcast. Whatever you're interested in at the time. So remember, if your drummer's got more charisma than your front man, band may be in trouble. But that's why my band's doing just fine. So, until next time.